Resource person of the day, Dr. Professor Nandan, Associate Professor of Pediatrics, Bangalore Institute of Dental Science, the the accreditation officers of our college, Dr. Shadab Ahmed, the IQS in charge, Dr. Narasimha Raju, and all the other IQAC officers of the respective colleges, the faculties, the staff members, and my dear colleagues. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you on this beautiful morning. On behalf of, again, Vinayaka Mission Shankaracharya Dental College, it's our pleasure to host this 36th webinar of the Quality Webinar Series. At this outset, I'll have to thank Professor Dr. Nandan for having taken the time out and again reaching to us to further give us more insight about the topic of management in the quality assurance. I still remember the day you reached to us in the year 2015 for our first NAC accreditation, where at that time we were of no idea as to what exactly this is. So you were the one, I remember, who came to the health science department and gave us some insight about how to go ahead with various criterias and how do we manage the documentation and what are the factors to be followed and how it should be documented. So that is still fresh in my mind, like how it started all in the way back in the year 2015. And this has gone a long way now. We have crossed our second NAC accreditation, and with your first encouragement, we are possible to get now the A grade with our director's help and all the other officers of the respective colleges and the staff members who have really toiled all these years. And in the recent past, last year, we were able to get A grade. And once again, I welcome each and every one of the participants from all over our constituent colleges. That is from Pondicherry campus, Payyanur campus in Chennai, Karaikal campus, as well as the Salem campus. All the IQAC coordinators for having enrolled in this program. And I'm sure that you will get a beautiful insight as well as to gain some more points as to how we can further grow as far as quality is concerned in all the institution of ours. As we all know, that quality is the order of the day, which unless and until not only at the institution level, at the individual level also, this is relevant. So unless and until we take it in our own various life activities, we can correlate this, and I'm sure that this talk today will help us to be, maybe we may be a good entrepreneur or a good manager maybe at home or at our own institute or at various levels. So I'm sure that your lecture today will be more fruitful and productive, and all of us will enjoy it. And thank you so much for coming. And once again, I welcome each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for welcoming the gathering. Next, I call upon Dr. P. Nyansekar, Director IQAC, Vinayaka Mission Research Foundation, Dean to the University, to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you, Dr. Simraj. Warm morning to all of you. It's a great day. It's really, into winter, and the day has started wonderfully. The sun has come out today. That's really a good sign. And though the sun has come out, we are all inside the rooms attending a webinar. This is what technology can, push us to. That is one side. The other side, again, technology has helped all of us join together through this platform to share our views, hear some wonderful information. And again, these webinars, we started to reach out during the COVID times. And now we have made it a routine, a part of the calendar. All the alternate Saturdays, we have this webinar series running, up and running. And this is the 36th webinar. And we have given opportunity to every constituent institution to host one of the webinars. So the cycle, we are now in the second cycle. As far as NAC, as the Dean rightly put it, we have completed our second cycle and now into the third cycle. And we are happy that we have come a long way with the help given by people like Dr. Nandan. And it's really wonderful to have him back today with, again, a wonderful topic. People wonder what is the role of management in assessment and accreditation. Though criteria 6 deals with leadership, governance, and management, I used to say management and criteria 6 is IQS. So it doesn't denote the real management of the institution. It denotes the IQAC, which has to be involved in all the managing parts of an institution. So that is how we need to look at IQAC. And looking at assessment in the perspective of a management, I think that would be a different game plan. So we are really happy to be here to hear what Dr. Nandan has to say about the involvement of management in assessment. And I, as well as the participants, are eagerly waiting for Dr. Nandan's words. We do hope all the participants today will carry home wonderful information and message, which can be taken in improving their own process of quality, so that we reach out to the stakeholders, give them a quality education. I once again congratulate the Dean and the IQAC coordinator at the team for coming forward to host this webinar. Those Saturdays are really, days when we think we need to be prepared for the weekend. I remember one boss used to have his meetings on a Friday evening, that too at 3 o'clock. One of the employees approached him and asked, why you have these meetings usually on a Friday, that too afternoon 3 o'clock. He said, that is the time no one argues with me. But they want the meeting to be over soon so that they can go home and enjoy the weekend. When we started this webinar, and specifically on Saturdays, initially we had it in the afternoon. So the same joke came to my mind. So we shifted it to the morning, so that more people get involved and get the real fruit of what is expected of webinars. I once again wish all the participants a wonderful morning and a good take-home message. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for giving an insight about our webinar. Next, I would like to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. Nandan N. He is a pediodontist by profession. Dr. Nandan is an eminent academician, dental educationist, researcher, assisted colleges and universities for NAC, including our institution, and also held admirable posts for delivering his social responsibilities. He has completed his undergraduation and post-graduation in Oxford Dental College, Hospital and Research Center, Bangalore. Added to his, he has completed his MS in counseling and psychotherapy, and he also holds a postgraduate diploma in medical law and ethics. He is at present senior editor in Journal of Ayurveda and Integrated Medical Sciences. He has more than 12 years of teaching experience, and at present he works as an associate professor in Bangalore Institute of Dental Sciences, Bangalore. He has more than 19 publications to his credentials. I call upon Dr. Nandan to deliver his talk. Participants can post their queries in the chat box so that the speaker will answer at the end. Dr. Nandan, the stage is yours.
So you can unmute and start speaking.
Dr. Nandan, unmute also.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to VMU for giving me this opportunity. Uh, I hope I'm audible and the screen is also visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've just put up this on a warm Saturday morning. I think most of you can see 4 cheetahs here, but then there is a 5th cheetah here, which is probably hiding to us, but actually doing a lot of work. Okay, we'll discuss about this basically as to why I put this up in the last. So basically, I'm Dr. Nandan N. I'm here to talk about the role of management and quality assurance and how to get better than the best. Okay, let's go by the definition as such. Quality assurance basically is the process of verifying or determining whether the products or services meet or exceed the customer's expectations. So basically, if you look at this, it's a process oriented one. It doesn't happen over a period of time. I mean, it needs to happen over a period of time and does not give you results overnight. So we are looking at two things here as a preventive dentist, as a pediatric and preventive dentist. I'm looking at one, treating the patient and preventing this further problem. The same similar thing that's happening here. You have a defect prevention. So since you're already in the third round or approaching the third round of NAC, this defect prevention is something that we need to target upon. There needs to be a proactive approach. Of course, it's a team that is built over a period of time, a team that has been picked up from the cream of the cream so that the best can be delivered. And the boss, whether it is the management, the head of the institution, the IQAC, each of them taking their own responsibility and the managers doing their job. So this is basically what we're looking at for today. I have been a faculty for close to 1.5 decades now. I've also been in the management for close to 2 decades, running law college to a science arts degree college. So I'm here to put across two different views: how the management looks in at a problem, and how as staff people look into a problem. So from the management point of view, we are always looking at the quality. We are always looking at the best that can be delivered, because for me, there is no individual above the institution. From the staff point of view, it is a very different scenario. As a staff, I would always be looking at assurance and consistency so that I can continue to perform. So here I would be talking on both sides as to what is expected out from the staff and what is expected out from the management. Now, when I thought about how I could spread this across, or how I could classify this or divide this or present it, I thought the best way was to put it across through your NAC criteria, which is much easier for people to absorb and implement. So there are 7 qualities or 7 quality management stuff. One is the customer focus. The customer here can be in a multiple way. The customer probably could be your student. The customer could be what the industry expects you to give a product so that they continue to get a job. The role of leaders, leadership creation, the engagement of people. Everybody has to be included, like what Max says. What is the role of each staff, each of the criteria heads, the sub criteria heads, and how the process of building up to the NAC or to any of your accreditations, be it NIRF, to ISO, to NABH, NABL, it is all going to be through a continuous process. And all that any accreditation is looking at is a constant improvement that needs to be shown over a period of time. There needs to be evidence-based decision making along with the relationship management. We do not want, if you look at one of the NAC criteria about the faculty, they're looking at the staff attrition rate. So we want people who come here, who stay here, just like any of our family members. And even when they move out, I will probably discuss about how we can get their services involved or how their credentials can still be of use to the institutions. So criteria one, and trust me, I will try to finish up things in the next 60 minutes. I would not want to keep anybody waiting over the weekend because the party has already begun, as told by Gunshekar sir. Okay, so this is basically what you're looking at from a university point of view under criteria one, under the curriculum aspects. So I will touch upon only few little things that are important in this limited 60 minutes of presentation before I take up some questions in the last. So I've highlighted the one that is the key point here that gives you about 1/3 of the points. That is your academic flexibility. So we've got the curriculum design development. Unfortunately, or fortunately, although being a deemed university, we still have to listen to the guidelines put up by DCI, MCI, PCI, NCI, or the engineering board. The only job that we can do is we can advise them about certain changes that we can get in. Curriculum planning implementation is totally with us. The academic flexibility we will discuss, and the curriculum enrichment. So basically, we need to have programs that are going to help in skill development. There needs to be a hand-holding of startups, the upskilling of the existing workforce. Along with that, there needs to be the students' mindset that needs to change from just getting a degree to earning a degree and using that degree to do something good for the country. The industry and academy, the academics collaboration that needs to be there, which is also part of your multiple other stuff that we need to look in at or different criterias. So this is where the new courses have to come into picture. When I say about the new courses, we're still talking about, for example, in dentistry, which is easy for me to give, we're still talking about lasers being the new thing. And this is what was a question for me about 15, 20 years back. And it still happens to be the happening question telling what are the recent advances in laser dentistry. It's high time that we come out with a course exclusively on laser dentistry. On similar lines, in law college, probably you're looking at criminology exclusively that is going to be mixed with medicine. So you have forensic medicine, you have forensic dentistry. So these have to be mainstream courses in helping people solve cases and getting better judgments. So this is how we will have to tune up with new courses. Hospital management is a happening thing, but unfortunately, I don't see a lot of management people in the hospital. So this is another untapped market. We also looking at artificial intelligence catching up. Not many engineering colleges again have artificial intelligence as a subject. But being a deemed university, I'm sure these can be add-on subjects. These can be new courses that can be recommended, or this can be new certificate or additional courses that can be looked into. Now, the national education policy gives you this advantage if people have actually gone through this of a mix and match at higher education. So earlier concept was you get very good marks, you go into science, not so good marks come into commerce, very bad marks get into arts. But when it comes to earning, it is probably a reverse. The kind of effort that people in science put in and rewards that they get to the risk may be minimal. So a lot of kids now moving into commerce, moving into arts. But with NEP, you have a mix and match. You have somebody who likes chemistry, can read psychology, and then probably even have a history subject. So this gives you a new literally a new insight into multiple things. See, for me, I have always liked history because we learn from history. We learned that probably the Indian industries during the pre-independence day did not invest back into or did not invest their profits back into their upgradation of skills to machinery, and that's why they got phased out. And then we literally had to buy our own clothes, sending cotton to England. So this is basically a major problem with most of the educational institutions, wherein they don't reinvest things back for constant upgradation. So probably the infrastructure was designed as per the requirement some time back, but then things have to go back and change for the today's or future's infrastructure. So NEP is one such thing, whether we like it or not, over a period of time gets implemented. So before it gets implemented, probably VMU should be the first one to come out with your new mix and match courses, the new combination of different subjects into integrated courses. So we're looking at the feedback system, which is the key thing here. To me, ideally, you have to take a feedback from everybody possible. Take a feedback from your examiner who comes in, to an inspector who comes in, a student who's just joined in as to what his expectations are, and the same student who finishes the course, somebody who's come in for a campus interview and say what is lagging. The best way to do this out is anybody who visits, rather than asking them to write what is good about your college, ask them to at least tell about what is one bad thing or what is one thing that where there is a scope for improvement. Because people are always going to praise us in public, and be nice and sweet enough. But when they are asked to write about in public, they always have one or two bad things to talk. So it's better they tell us rather than telling everybody out there in public. So first ask them, collect the data. There are different ways in which your feedback forms can be prepared, customized to each college, customized to each of the situation. You cannot give the same the feedback form asking about how was the stay, food to quality of students and education for an examiner to what is expected out to first year student to final year postgraduate student. So once the feedback form is prepared, the feedback is obtained, we need to analyze this and see what's going wrong. What is going wrong in spite of trying to get things right? How we can improve on so that this particular problem is not going to be repeated again. So then comes your the implementation. You have a huge team that is actually put into work here, right from the academicians, non-academicians, the management people, and then there is a notification that is sent about the possible changes that we probably have to get in. And I hope that this becomes a reality, because what I see with most colleges is all these are picked up in the last minute. So if it is done on a regular basis, this is the best way that management gets their information to bring in the changes. Now, criteria 1, 2, 3, whatever you taken, the person behind this probably are academic staff or non-teaching staff and management guys. But the good or bad is always felt by the people who run the college or people who own the college. So end of the day, the implementation part is basically driven through the management by the staff. And the credits for this should ideally go in like a 30% to the management, 70% going in for the people who are implementing at the ground level. Now, the second criteria, most staff are told that this is the key one. This is where the staff basically are to be a lot more vigilant. Staff have to be a lot more active. Staff have to be doing so many things. But I would say management has a key role even in this. Management here has close to a 50% role as to what the staff actually have. So when you look at it, you look at it like student enrollment, the profile. I would always look in at student enrollment with inclusivity. Get people across the state, people across the country, people across different caste, culture, religion, because that is what is going to get you a diverse scenario. See, as a management person, I'm also looking at a marketing strategy here to get my seats filled. There are times where I've personally gone through a lot of trauma, wherein seats in certain uh, courses don't get filled and there is excess demand on a certain other subject or a different stream. But then if I sit back and analyze over the last 2 decades, it's always a cycle. So because there is a cycle, I cannot increase the number of dental seats when there is excess demand. I cannot cut down on my science laboratories for MSc when there is no demand, because it's a cycle and I cannot keep uh, having too much of a variation with the infrastructure. So the best way is if you can have this quality standardized and maintained, you will never have this ups and downs irrespective of the cycle that the students go through. So get this inclusivity. The next thing, and this again, you have students, you have seats opened up for all India through the government, you have seats opened up for the state students. Whatever is under the management, you have an NRI quota. So how does this happen? If you look at the management point of view, you need to look in and travel across to different states, countries, make an impact there. Some advice that I've always given to management, especially for dental colleges. When I last visited Cambodia, most of the students there either go to France or to Sri Lanka for dental course. It's an untapped market there. Have a MOU signed up through the right channels and make sure those students are coming here to India. We have a huge place. We have good number of colleges that provide quality education. Just like how your management moved out to Malaysia, had the collaboration started of colleges there. So it's time to tap newer avenues because certain places are reaching saturation. Now, when we look at the quality of teachers employed, of course, you've got a system wherein teachers are not, welcomed, and everybody who passes doesn't become a teacher now. There's a lot of cherry picking. There's a lot of hand-picked faculty. So it's basically the role of management in setting up a scenario or a system there, wherein you scrutinize your input. The quality of teaching, learning, evaluation is going to get better when you've got your cherry-picked staff who are interested to teach, who are interested in research, who are interested in clinical work more so on the medical side. So basically, if your council says that you need to have 10 staff per department, I would always say that I would have 3 to 4 staff who are on the clinical side, another 3 to 4 purely on the academic side, who are more into theory, more into teaching, people who enjoy more with interacting with students, because the first category is interacting with the patients, and then the last part we're going to be on research. So when I look at it in the engineering field, you also have people who would interact with the industry, people exclusively for teaching, people exclusively for research. Now I would go on and say that have extra staff wherein you have some big names in Salem who would come and teach exclusively on the industry, exclusively on certain procedures and techniques as adjunct faculty. And uh, I'm sure a lot of councils also tell you that they have some basic number of classes that they need to take. They probably can get paid for that any number of hours. So by doing that, at any given point of time, you don't have to panic. The moment you get a call telling that you have an inspection and then see that you have shortage of staff, you always have excess number of staff. Some of your staff are going to be paid only on the days that they are going to come and for the classes that they are going to take. So I like Dental Council of India says one staff in each department can be there for half a day. I think they've even tweaked it telling they can be there for 16 days a month. So there are different such rules which always can be used. When it comes to research, what I'm told is that you have, a faculty can give 2 names for the institution that he or she is associated with. So encourage faculty, people who work with you, people who have studied with you, to always put in as VMU as an addition, as the second college or the first college for which they've been associated with. You can have them on roll. You can probably have some incentives for them every time that they publish. So there can be a different financial deal that can be worked out. This is basically to increase your visibility, to increase your a different way of helping teachers being associated with Vinayak Commission. So we've here tried to concentrate on the teacher profile quality. There is something that was highlighted during the inaugural talk. That is, we have changed the way we are learning. Earlier, our concept was only with the brick and mortar classrooms that was there, a face-to-face. And then COVID taught us a new thing, that is the online learning, which was basically virtual. Now we have blended learning. So this, I feel, is the future. You have certain conversation, negotiated interactions, productions to collaboration and multiple applications that happen face to face. That is with your full-time faculty. You have certain online faculties who can give you a lot of inputs and insights about changing trends in your particular field, be it engineering, medical science. The first time I visited, I was actually quite shocked to see that you had PhD for physical education. So there's a lot of things that are happening here with blended learning, wherein there's a mix and match of both. And then we also have to create infrastructure for this. So that's where I say have additional staff who are going to be on virtual, who are also going to be on this blended learning concept. So the profile of the staff is something that the management also has a key role to play with. Now, why is it that you need to stress upon your staff to build up a good profile, not just for the accreditation process? You would want staff who worked here. The moment somebody says that I have worked in VMU, he or she should be an automatic qualification for a job anywhere. And that is why people should come and join VMU to start their career with, because that becomes a launchpad for them to have a wonderful career ahead. So how does this whole concept happen? This whole concept should happen with a good teacher, a good student using technology, the content that can be created, a curriculum development committee that exclusively looks in with the teaching with technology part, which is going to be a big thing. If you look at multiple criteria, they tell you that you need to have your own YouTube channel, you need to have multiple other way of conveying the message. I will touch upon a lot of these as we come across. I would always suggest that encourage your staff to attend every possible conference within the limitations. That is, you fix up the number of days that they can go out for conferences to examinations. The reason for this, if I have to put up an advertisement on a billboard here in Bangalore, that would cost me around 3 to 10 lakhs depending on the place per month. The best way to do a marketing is to have people and your people using the name of the college, attending conferences, going out as examiners, giving guest lectures, to conducting workshops, and that is the best way to market. Even if I have to go to some college, they probably would say, yeah, I don't remember the name of the periodontist, but this guy has come from this particular college. So that's how there would be a long lasting impact. I know wherein I go in as a postgraduate examiner and people come back and say, sir, you were my undergraduate examiner. So this is basically making an impact. They probably don't even know my name, but they would know I worked in such and such college. And that's how they probably get to know, telling, yes, he was my examiner. So this is how there is an easy marketing scenario, because end of the day, managements are going to be happy. Managements can bring in a change when admissions happen, because you're going to get in some money that gives the flexibility in decision making. The next thing that we need to look into here is with the way the classrooms now are going to be designed. Like I said, a lot of smart classrooms coming in. Staff also need to upgrade themselves. We have a lot of staff who are not willing to upgrade themselves, who are not wanting to bring and accept the change. We still have exam systems that are outdated. We still have same questions that were asked 20 years back. So we need to bring in this change. The best way to bring in is to have a mixture of youth and experience, somebody who can teach the technology, somebody who can share their experience and make sure that the younger generation do not get into a problem kind of a scenario. So we have something with our examination system that needs to be changed. We need to have a lot of open discussions where it's okay to make mistakes for the kids. A lot of fill in the blanks kind of examination in the medical background, because you need precision there. You need to probably have a lot of newer ideas popping up in terms of engineering, where you will have some continuity, you have some practice, experimentation done. So let us have a more of practical oriented discussion rather than more of theory. A lot of labs that needs to be coming up. Again, the stress upon this is for this kind of learning to happen, the infrastructure is totally in the hands of the management. So we need to be bringing in this kind of a change here, even in the education system and the examination system, which is totally going to be wherein the entire examination system is foolproof. The examination system is going to be more transparent, because what we hear about, or what I basically hear about why a student prefers a deemed university, they say in deemed university we are assured of passing. That should not be the trend, wherein people should come out and say, if I'm passing out from VMU, that is the probably I'm the best or better than the best. That is the reason why I'm joining VMU, because I'm assured of the quality that I'm going to get. So getting an education, the examination system, right from the enrollment process to the declaration of marks, you have multiple people involved. It would always be better that you have an associate dean exclusively on examination who takes care of the examination system, the pre-examination activities, right from the availability of question banks to exposures to mock exams with outsiders. Then you're looking in at multiple other factors like how you're going to have a pre-exam activity, who qualifies, and then what is there about post-examination, how you're going to look at the evaluation process, how unbiased it is going to be, how it is going to be with the double, triple blinded evaluation that you're likely to have with your coding, decoding, how confidential your papers are kept and results are announced, and how easily you're going to communicate. Because I'm sure people who passed 20, 25 years back, the only way out to see your marks card was that paper that was printed out of the fax machine and stuck onto the notice board. And each one is trying to jump. There are some crying, there are some over enthusiastic, there are some people who are shocked, not making way. So now make it more mobile ready, irrespective of where the student sits. He sees his results, he continues and moves on with the next course. So let's look in at the research, innovations, and extension here. So this again is a make or break kind of a scenario, because it takes a large chunk of your grading. So you got some basic criteria that have been put forward already by your councils, which say that basic mandatory research activity has to take place, establishment of a research center. They also even talk about promotions based on research publication. There's no point publishing it. You also have to look in at seeing how you can get it patented, see how you're going to advance it to the next stages. So here the quality education is all starting with research. You don't see a higher education institution without having quality research. A lot of undergraduate students would probably start reading a lot of research activities. The first thing or the second thing that they say apart from the title is going to be those big names and from which institution the research paper is coming from. Now, this itself is another marketing strategy. This itself is something that is going to draw students to your institution. Like I said, you can always have person X working in Vinay Commission as a visiting or an adjunct faculty, and a faculty elsewhere in another institution, giving credit for both the institutions. So you start looking in at establishing a research center where you're going to be far ahead compared to any other institution. Provide adequate training for your faculty for research. Set up a coordination committee or a governing council wherein the research activities are going to be headed. In real terms, in your federal system of running the college or the institution, always establish a, a chair or an associate dean for exclusively for research, innovation, and extension. So I would always believe that each one gets a post so that they're all going to be happy, nurturing their growth and also the growth of the institution rather than fighting between themselves. The next one is about the publications, which has to be touched upon because that's where your 100 points or a good chunk of your 250 points of this is going into, and advocacy of how you're going to reach up there and what you need to do to reach up there. Okay, so this is how I would basically say that you would have a federal system in the college, with each one having their own fixed responsibility. The first and the foremost important thing is the seed money that needs to be provided. Most of them feel that the seed money ideally should come from the institution. It can also come in from relatives, friends. It can come in from angel investors. There is a show that is coming up on the shark investors who are looking out for innovations. So you present your case well, you will get your shark investor putting in your money. Of course, they probably are looking at a marketing strategy there. If you ask me on a very personal note, I would say that VMU has the power. VMU can fund and take a patency, and the final product should be in the name of VMU rather than individuals. The seed venture capital firms, like I said, especially Bangalore being a startup city, we have a lot of seed venture capital firms here. Uh, Probably after the seminar, if somebody wants to, I can always put you across. I've also worked with a couple of startups in healthcare system and know how the entire system basically runs when they are expecting or when they put in some money and expecting returns after 3 years. So you have different ways in how you're going to get your funding. So you have to look in at how you're going to utilize this funding. I would always say college, go and receive all the funds that are possible from every other place, because end of it, whatever assets that are going to be created will stay back with the college. Suppose a research needs to be done and somebody says that a generator needs to be bought, it stays with the college. But the funding comes from some research agency, or even if it is part payment, that's a big relief for the college. A refrigerator to a microscope to a chair to a table, everything is going to get its own set of funds. So this is all going to be an asset to the college. You have a lot of facilities that needs to be put up. The moment the word research comes in, everybody is looking at that white coat guy with the microscope sitting in one corner with a long beard probably. So that's basically not the case of today's research. You have animal house to a greenhouse to a media laboratory. And not many people are aware. I have been with a law college for close to 3 years. So a moot court that has been set up itself is a research center there. You are pushing in different ways in which these young little lawyers, the budding lawyers, are going to get exposed to the real scenario. An art gallery. Ideally, I would say next time somebody looks in or searches for something on Wikipedia for places to visit in Salem, one of the places has to be the art gallery at Vinayaka Mission University. So that is the kind of platform that you're going to give for kids to be launched for your research activities, the kind of mark that you're going to make. There's a lot of money again here. You have an entry fee to sell your art, so your students get money. There's again consultancy that comes in. Your staff are getting in money if they've been a part of that particular art. At the same time, the university is getting their money. So always looking at a win-win situation for everyone, wherein everybody is happy and everybody grows together. You can always set up your own research laboratories, wherein I could probably send my students there and you're going to charge them. But that is the kind of research centers that we're basically looking at. This is again an additional revenue that comes in. You have the same set of staff, the same equipment, the same reagents. Only thing is my student is coming there and then you're going to charge them for that. So somebody again searches in as to where can I do my microbiological study, where do I do my animal studies. So the first thing that should probably pop up in Google has to be this place in Salem by Vinayaka Mission University. That's the kind of quality that you need to establish. That's the kind of marketing that your work will actually do. And then it's a continuous cycle. You probably don't get admission in the law college. You probably have your arts college full, and then a lot of artwork being sold. You have not so good admission on the dental side. You probably have your MSc and PhD work that is happening on animal studies and chemistry, probably in the lab. So, end of the day, the total income of my institution is going to be the same. So I'm also looking in at multiple other associations wherein from UGC SAP to CAS to ICSSR. All these are funding agencies where I'm looking in at the money that can come in, because this is a high impact one. The moment you start making note of this, you also look in at a 12B association. You're looking at UGC funding that comes in. Central government is always keeping a watch on what is the kind of research that is happening. Because if you look at history, it took weeks and months together for somebody to burn the entire university in Bihar, the Kalinga University, the other universities that we had in Bihar and Gaya. So that is a kind of infrastructure, that is a kind of knowledge bank that our ancestors had created. And today we can create something parallel to that or similar to that, and get all this in the form of software, all this in the form of art galleries, to multiple other ways to display our talents. Something that most colleges miss out on is the innovation. That is your set up an incubation center. That is an incubator basically, wherein I think the medical guys see a lot of incubators. You save a lot of kids. These kids tomorrow grow up to be one of the best in your state or the shining stars of India. So this incubation center that is going to be set up again is going to be a place where miracles are going to be created. So that is the kind of support that the management here basically has to give for research, which is lacking largely because either the managements are probably not understanding, or the way it has been pitched up through the IQAC or through other multiple sources in the college itself is in a very different way. Start looking at in-house publications. Why are we still running behind foreign authors? Why, when foreign publication houses, why are we running behind some big names, paying them thousands and thousands of rupees? Start today, wherein your publishing house publishes a medical journal, a dental journal, a comprehensive journal, an engineering journal, allied sciences journal. 10 years from now, mark my words, at least 10 out of this 15, 20 that you have, so close to 50%, will be of international standards, because life runs on hopes. You are going to get one person who is going to come lift you up just with that quality research. So that itself is making an impact. That is again a marketing strategy. You being a publishing house tomorrow, 15, 10, 20 years down the lane, somebody is going to start paying you for getting their research work published. So the things you do not see the results overnight, but you can start today to make sure that you're going to get results 10, 15 years down the lane. The same with patents. Each college is very happy to have 2 or 3 patents, but I would say you need to have a room that is larger than probably any of your clinics or a classroom, just to display all the patencies or the patents that you have. If you're looking at the entire process of patents, again, you have your own set of challenges. Some of them have patents that are only for a very short cycle. This by itself is another long seminar that you can actually have. You have an idea generation, filing of application to a grant of a patent, monetizing a patent, because some of the patents are just for 3 years. So this person who's doing PhD will probably not have interest once he or she has got it. That's where I say joint patents in the name of college. And then the college continues to have this patent for a commercial aspect. That's when the money is recovered. And that commercial aspect is going to be taken care by the marketing team, the MBA college, the college with the engineering background or with the management background, who continues to do work on this. But that's where a comprehensive package starts coming in, because you're a university with multiple colleges. So publication, like I said, is going to be an in-house publication is what I would advocate with. Start your own publishing house with high quality content. I'm sure Dr. Baby John has also been associated with senior editors of our association at ISPPD, and sir can get in a lot of inputs. Start with some quality publication, wherein you get your ISSN number, you get in a high impact journal, and the growth story has to be in a trajectory motion. So at least maybe end of say 5-6 years from now, 3 or 4 quality journals coming out of VMU should be aim that you have to start with from today. Another surprising thing that I basically see with most of the Indian colleges, be it engineering, nursing, we always have a passion of admiring foreign authors. I am not against this, but it is not that Indian authors are substandard. It is not that we are not able to convey. It is only that we don't get a platform to launch ourselves. Now, if VMU can take the initiative because you've had history of close to 25, 30 years in most subjects, that is a minimum of 25 to 30 years in most of the subjects, why not come out with a financed publishing house with the profit sharing scenario and have textbooks written and published or written by VMU staff, published by VMU with the profit sharing that can always be worked out. And if he or she is moved out or retired or still wants no longer wants to be associated, you give the chance to another person. That's basically what all publishing houses are doing. And if you have printing technology with your publishing house, I'm sure you know how to cut down cost. You have the entire team that is already well set up there. You have your marketing people who take care of how to push this product. I'm sure the whole of Tamil Nadu at least is going to start off with the free copies given to colleges. There are multiple other ways in which you can push. If the quality is good, within 2 or 3 years, most of the students will start using only these books that are published by VMU. There's another thing that can always be looked into. You can have your textbooks in three sorts. One is a textbook that explains on a clinical scenario or a manual. The second one is basically pure theory, giving them all the inputs, just like the compiled journal clubs to seminars of postgraduate students coming up. The third one is basically what most kids today want. Whether it is right or wrong, rather than your students reading from some substandard book, always start looking in at answers and questions that that are addressed to for the last 15 or 20 years of question paper. So basically you have about 40 question papers. There's a quick fire question answer that is there. So a good student will always read the clinical manual, know his theory. To pass the exam will also read this. An average student looks in at two of these books. A not so good student will at least read one of the books. So these kids are basically reading your books and they are reading quality content because that is published by VMU. Let's look at the e-quality or the e-content that most of us have to now look into. There is PG Pathshala to Swayam to multiple other platforms to institutional softwares, LMS, that most of them are being advised now to. I would always say, I mean, in fact, I was working with one of the colleges during COVID, and there was one staff who started a YouTube channel, again in Tamil Nadu, a dental college, who became quite popular among the students because all his content was there up. He had close to about 100, 150. Of course, there were out of the 150 people, the 100 people were from this institution itself, and the 50 were their friends that caught up. But he still made an impact. That was the best way for him to convey the message during COVID. And today he's, I think, quite doing good with his online teaching. This, I would say, the college can take up the YouTube channel because you have a lot of ads coming in. That itself is another revenue, provided you hit that many likes and subscribers. So how the institution looks at this, create the content, open it up. Kids can always look into getting the right information from the right sources again, because you cannot have theory classes on and on again. You cannot have somebody who's probably teaching them how to have these demonstrations. See, basically, I always had this advantage when it was a group of 5, group of 10, because now we've all moved into a small group teaching rather than large classrooms. So when a demonstration was given, especially maybe in my third year of BDS, I was probably standing in the front thanks to my height, and I probably saw everything right or wrong which my teachers did. And people who are taller than me always used to complain that they did not see anything. So we came out with this wherein we fixed a camera to the light, the focus light for our dental chair. And then as we move the light into the mouth, the camera would also capture as to how certain things have to be done. So there are multiple innovative ways. I'm sure your teachers are going to give better ideas, better than what I have probably worked, because today's teachers are much smarter than probably what I started with. So encourage them to have their own e-content developed. Of course, the patency lies with the institution, and it is the institution that provides a platform. Students are always going to get the benefit. Teachers are going to get their benefit again in terms of revenue sharing. They're also going to get that publicity which nobody else. Which is, today, if you look at general colleges, we have, I'm sure, 1,000 teachers in each subject, at least in my specialty. When you look at engineering or nursing, it would ideally be the same. Same with medical. They have more faculty than anybody else. So you're giving them a platform, the younger ones, to launch themselves, to become popular. And trust me, it's not always going to be with some people coming with looking at the salary end of the month. They also are going to be better off. The performance gets a booster. They're going to get in terms of the appreciation that they get, the platform that they get, young stars who are going to be launched out from VMU, basically with the e-content, which most of them have again not got into. So extension activities, a lot of work that needs to be done. You again have to make impact. Unless you make impact in the locally, you're not going to grow globally. So start looking at it, all sorts of extension activities with impact to the closest vicinity, right from a small little blood bank to some awards given on social platforms for work done for the betterment of the society. So you also can have your own news lines that are going, or newspapers that are going to come in with. This again carries about the supplement sheet that can be inserted into your major dailies. If you have media and degree courses related to media, I'm sure you should have started by with a newspaper, a local newspaper, and English version, which probably, because your alumni I expect is pan India or across the world. So even they would be wanting to know what's happening in Salem. You also have an online media presence today. So also start looking in at this. There are some colleges which also have their own radio station, which gives health talks to platforms for people to sing, for them to convey. There are requests for donations. Too, there are help for blood donations. So you can always use everything in the right way. Of course, you have limitations with most of this also. So you have this third criteria wherein you have a question on consultancy. To me, this is one of the best questions because everybody makes a name, fame, money. There's a good work-life balance. Everybody can be launched into limelight. I will just share a couple of ideas on this. How did the corporate culture start here in the medical field? Largely because you didn't have quality hospitals that were serving the five-star requirement of some of your patients. So why are you still waiting for an Apollo or somebody else to come to Salem, establish themselves, and then you start giving a fight? And to what I see, your hospital is a little away from the city. So why not have a 100-bed hospital, a multi-specialty hospital, two or three super specialty hospitals on cardiac care, orthopedic, or see what is basically the local problem. Start looking at it. I see a lot of cancer institutes coming up in multiple places. And in fact, when I was a judge with one of the events last week in Manipal, I was shocked to see there were a couple of associated papers coming in from Tamil Nadu, most of from Salem. So it is like they are into collaboration. So there were a couple of papers with collaboration. I would probably have been more happy if I'd seen VMU name there. So start making in your own hospitals. Start establishing super specialty dental clinics that are operated by your faculty in the evening. This is an additional source of revenue for both college staff. Start giving them, you probably would be the one and only CBCT center. You would probably be the first one to have your multi-slice MRI scans on the medical side, because probably they would, you would not have a practitioner looking in at investing so much of money getting the latest gadgets on the radiology and the pathology part. You can also look in at specialty clinics, research labs, right in the city center at multiple places in and around. Don't limit yourself to only Salem. I would say more in multiple other places also. A small or a recent college that started in Karnataka in a place called Shumaga today has about 2 or 3 hospitals operating in central of Shumaga, that is in Karnataka. The same way you have a good number of colleges today in Bangalore. Probably a lot of people who visit Bangalore have heard of this Vaidehi Medical College. So these guys are running the Malya Hospital has now been taken over by Vaidehi, and it's now called Vaidehi Super Speciality Hospital. So these are different ways of avenues. You have your nursing college students posted there, so you don't have to run around for clearances. You can start at 2 or 3 more nursing colleges based on your demand. Because you have a lot of scope, you can establish dental clinics. You can have your medical, your engineering teams there, because I'm sure a 30-year-old institution will require maintenance for your own buildings. You have probably an architecture that was probably 30-year-old. Today's requirements are different. So you have your engineering team that comes in there, right from civil engineering, artificial intelligence that is required today. You have the electronics department, artificial engineers coming in. Artificial intelligence people who can help you out. You have a lot of chemistry people. You have a lot of pharmacy guys. So you are providing employment here. You have your in-house employment system that you've created, where students are again handpicked. The best of them are placed in your own institution. So this again carries a lot of points, weightage. Apart from this are your collaborations. This is the role basically played by management. Some of your senior faculty, ask them to attend international conference. If the management can, probably try and visit as many countries as possible, meet the right people, try and sign a lot of contracts. One college where I would like to really name them and appreciate here is Kurg Institute of Dental Science. In a relatively remote area of Virajpet in Bangalore has a whole lot of collaborations. Every year I visit there they come out with a new collaboration. The management is so proactive there, wherein they go visit newer countries, newer universities, smaller universities, universities that are shortage of fund, universities that have excess of fund. You have a student exchange program, you have an industry exchange program with the newer industries that start coming up. A lot of MOUs that keep getting signed up for job training to project training, not just limited student and faculty exchange programs. So this is again a marketing strategy where an undergraduate student meets you, gets to know about VMU, and then wants to come back and study for his or her post graduation or PhD. Let's look at the criteria 4. Here it's all about your infrastructure. Two things to concentrate on is your physical facilities and the IT infrastructure. I'm looking at a very different way of putting this across. Well, any of you have been to this particular place would probably guess this, right? This is not any five-star hotel. This is a library of one of a deemed university where I happened to be there just about 3 or 4 months back. So this is what students of today want. If you get them a library with some bookshelves and a table and chair, they probably come there to meet and greet or just to have a good nap. So there are different ways in trying to attract students in terms of admission, in terms of providing infrastructure for them to study. Here you have all possible books, you have the journals, you have your laptop, you have your palm pads. There are different ways of studying. This is a regular seating arrangement that you see. You also had sofas, you had your beach benches, so you could sit, study, you could lie down and study. But end of the day, all that you have to do is only study. So there are different ways in which you set up your infrastructure based on today's needs to attract admissions, to give them the feel, wherein they start studying better or all the information that was basically required. This is another plan for Bhopal University. A lot of colleges again today have this. I got this idea from one of the schools that I visited for with the managing committee that I was associated with, wherein basically your college area is going to be used up say till 3 or 4 o'clock. So what happens to that place? There is no revenue generation that's happening from the management point of view. Now that's where we worked out a scenario wherein the auditorium, which had a different entry and exit, was rented out, and you surprisingly that became a big place. I mean, every Sunday or every weekend, our auditorium was one of the major sources of revenue generation, especially when you run a degree college, wherein a lot of holidays is there in 2 months. The money comes in to pay the staff only twice a year because you have admissions once and you have exams twice. So this was alternate way of revenue generation that we had. This also provided employment to our own staff who were into lighting, our own staff who were into printing. So this was a different way in which we could provide opportunity for everyone. So on similar grounds, set up an international stadium at VMU, which again has to be a landmark, wherein all the possible coaching is given by, and then the best of your guys go on to represent not just the university, probably the state and the country. Another thing that we started to work out in one of our institutions is for cultural programs, we no longer call people from a political background as chief guests. For sports, we no longer call somebody from a non-sports background. We would call a sports person because our students who are so enthusiastic needs are going to get pumped up by watching or by taking a close selfie with one of their icons or with somebody whom they dream to be growing up to. So start bringing in the small little change from changing your chief guest to certain functions. Have a lot of cultural activities. We started to have one cultural activity every 2 months. This was the best way to attract. So science does it this month, arts does it after 2 months, commerce does it, and then science comes back with another stream. So why we did this, we had invited college students from all across Bangalore itself was about 100 colleges that came in. And trust me, within 3 years, we did not have problem with our postgraduate admission. So this is a marketing strategy. Students pay, they register, they come, they enjoy, it makes an impact for them. That small little certificate that they carry back home, the small little memento or a file that they carry back home with your college name printed will still continue to run for the next few years. This is also adding on to the revenue apart from the marketing strategy that you have. I've always advocated this. Staff and students today are much more stressed compared to what it was earlier. You have multiple reasons to say about or discuss about this. This itself can be a different seminar altogether. Have at least 4 or 5 yoga centers in different, because you have institutions that are spread across Salem, have 4 or 5 centers wherein yoga starts at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Also invite public to come and join you. You have one yoga teacher, people carry their mats, you have your students, you have your staff, you have public who are authorized to come in. It is not like walk-in, who are scrutinized and authorized to come in. They pay a small little fee, so your teacher's salary is basically taken care. And then that's a marketing strategy again. You are making a fit people, a fitter Salem, and thanks to VMU, which is doing this by having yoga meditation centers. It can be at 6, 7, 8 in the morning, 6, 7, 8 in the evening again. It's easy, free for all the staff and students, but somebody from outside, a family member of these staff or students, will have to pay and join you. International Sports Complex. This is a big boom business here in Bangalore. If because you have multi-story complexes, you don't have space to play. The grounds are shrinking. There is not much time. So you have this in sporting complexes wherein you rent it out. You want to play badminton for 2 hours, you pay and play. You want to play football, it's on the terrace of some 8th, 15th, 25th floor on a 6-member team, 7-member team. You pay and play per hour. So you can always train your kids. You can have your summer camps to multiple other camps, and you can charge. So you're also creating employment for your graduates who are passing out from the school, which gives physical training education. You're also creating world-class infrastructure for the next best set of athletes to sportsmen that are coming out from VMU. So the auditorium being a world-class place also fetches you a lot of rent. There's general campus that needs to be again maintained. Another thing that I tell all the management people, the best gift that you can do is plant trees. This is also being covered in another uh, criteria. Now, why I say this, you have fruit bearing trees, you have a kitchen garden that can be set up. So all your kitchen needs for your mess is taken care from this particular place. You have a lot of birds that keeps flocking in. So that makes a good amount of flora fauna that is created, a biodiverse atmosphere, which is nice to sit back and relax rather than the hustle of the and the bustle of your city with the cars honking and people fighting. So in the process, what are you having? You also have a lot of the timber trees that are planted. You don't see any results of this in the next 5 or 10 years. 10 to 15 years down the lane, if you have your admission related issues, cut down these trees, sell them. You have revenue generated out of timber. This is again happening in the same place where you have your auditoriums to other multiple facilities. You can park your cars under the tree, so there is no need to build something really big. Of course, make sure that you don't have the branches falling on the tree. The salary expenditure basically gets taken care by all the consultancies that can be created. So most of the times it is not really a big headache for managements to run the show for 12 months, although we get the fees only for about 2 times a year. A lot of e-journals, e-books, contents, patencies to be taken in the name of colleges. A lot of questions asked on your IT infrastructure, the LAN connections to the bandwidth. I would say always sit with the highest bandwidth because the number of users are increased. Of course, you have your security issues. Have a well-planned system for that. Establish a media center. More so if you are having degrees on media related, AV center, the mixing equipment and software for editing. So you have your own e-content development center where staff can go there, record their classes at will. That can always be put up. Uh, Again, generating revenue. Students can have their missed classes. 3 people taking the same topic, each one presents it in a different way. Advantage is with the student. More the followers, advantage is for that particular staff. So they are striving to present the same material in different ways to make a higher impact. Let's move on to the fifth criteria, that is the student support and progression. You have to set up a scenario wherein you do not give free seats. I've always been advocating this. People have to earn the seat. People have to spend money. This is how things are abroad. That is why nobody has any issue with the education system there. A student has to study well. The student has to look in at scholarships. Scholarships can be on multiple basis. You have the government that funds a lot of scholarships. You have philanthropists who come out with scholarship. You have people for subject toppers, people who come second, third, people who give medals and money and multiple. They even give stay facilities, food facilities. So there are multiple ways. India has always had this. Probably people uh, who passed out 20, 25, 30 years back have all experienced this. People moving from small towns to major cities, always their parents used to try and find out, some relative of there where the kid could stay, get proper home food. So there are multiple ways in which your student support progression scholarship is. It is not just about the money that is required. A career counseling that can be started off right from the undergraduation days, so student knows what to tap, how to move about for their post graduation or PhD. I've always looked into the last part here, that is your multiple ways of putting across things. What are these? This is basically you have your personality development that needs to be there, because the last skill that is going to be tested is the way you treat, the way you do your work. The first thing, that is the way you present yourself. The confidence that you have is basically based on the subject knowledge that you have. An emotional quotient that is basically required as to how we handle that particular situation. We also have to train people about the HR management as to how they talk, the tone that they talk, to the body language that they need to have. And then you have multiple ways in which you're going to train the kid in a holistic way, in a comprehensive way to face the world. You also have to teach them financial management. Probably you will be the first and only college to do so. Unfortunately, all colleges tell them what to do. They don't know how to make money and how this money can make money for themselves. To have a work-life balance, we are all training kids to have a 10 or 12 hours job. We're not telling them how they can be happy in life by basically getting this degree. So we also have to tell them about the spiritual quotient that they need to develop over a period of time to have a mental balance, to manage stress. Today, a lot of people are quitting the job because they cannot handle stress. This is apart from your anti-ragging and other things that are mandatory as per your councils. Monitor the progression of students. You have multiple different ways. I don't want to get into depth of this. I would again say have special quotas for sports, for cultural activities, for students who make impact. Give scholarship to them, support them, absorb them back into your institution. That's the best way to have your students and the progression that can be monitored. Looking at placements, if you ask me in a dental or a medical college, a nursing or a pharmacy college, you have 100% placement. Most colleges don't write this in NAC. Your students are self-employed. Either they have a clinic, they're working in somebody's clinic, or they're in a college, or they're working in some research center. In engineering, most of them again get a job. Some of them can be into multiple other places overseas. So there are different ways in which you project this part of placement, especially. And I would say have a placement cell in medical, dental, and allied sciences exclusively. Clinics which require doctors, colleges which require doctors, or your staff, they should be able to contact you because they know that if a product has passed out from VMU, he or she is the best to be employed even in their institution. The role of alumni, I would say not just to have a meet greet, have a drink, throw a party, and then put that up as an alumni meet. I would say that alumni should be given a complete independent in charge with their own set of secretary to the president, a fair uh, elections that they have within the stipulated period where they conduct sports, probably your culturals, your CD, CME programs exclusively for the alumni. The alumni, I would always suggest, is going to be on a smaller scale of individual institutions and from the entire institution. Like, for example, if you ask a policeman who is the best friend that you would want to have, he would say, I want a good doctor and then a good advocate. The same thing applies here. The medical college, dental college guys today are being traumatized with the legal cases slapped on them. So why not fall back on your VMU law college students to help them and to help you to be bailed out? Why not have this place for networking, wherein the Senate and the syndicate members for NGR universities or any other university, the contestants are from VMU or the alumni of VMU. People are going to vote them, and you don't have your people running just VMU University. You also have your people running MGR University to RGHS or to any other university across. So having that kind of a scenario wherein you have a good bonding, a good networking that is established, wherein everywhere I see your people. The IDA of the Salem branch, the IDA head office of Tamil Nadu branch or New Delhi has to be represented by one person from VMU. That should be the aim. The engineering associations, again, it's the same scenario, and it would hold good even for the bar council elections. So you have your guys everywhere. That itself is a marketing. So what happens over a period of time, if you look at some of the kids seeking admission here in Bangalore, and you ask them, they say, I would want to join college X or Y because Anil Kumble studied there for engineering, Rahul Dravid studied here for school. So the chances of me getting picked because they give a lot of emphasis on sports is higher. This is how you would probably be marketing your way out. You come and join VMU, you have a good association, you have a good alumni, which is going to back you up for you to be shot up again as a star. Let's look at the criteria 6. Again, I'm not going to get into the institution vision, the mission, and these kind of things. I'm sure you all worked on to this. These are two or three. This is one of the quotes that I would like to put across. When there is no consequence for poor work ethic and no reward for good work ethic, there is no motivation. So this basically, I told you I'm a faculty, and I've also been a part of management. So the first part applies to one of them. The second part applies to the other. You cannot have there's the small little story where another 5-10 minutes that I would conclude. Uh, there's this guy who's having money in one hand and he's going to have money in the other. I mean, the groundnuts in the other hand. So on the right hand he has groundnuts, the left hand he has money, and he gives it to monkey. Monkey is always going to take a groundnut. When you give it to a man who is supposed to have a slightly higher IQ knows that he's going to take that money and then buy the groundnuts also. So reward has to always come in for good work, for good work ethics. You're going to employ your best people and retain them. I would always suggest that do not pay a fixed salary to any of your teaching faculty. It should be a basic pay that you want to put them on. Say if your salary is 2 lakhs, put them on a basic pay of 1 lakh. The other 1 lakh has to always be on incentives, has to be on a reward system that he or she is going to work with. Because you're just going to make them go lazy with that fixed amount. All that they're going to do is try and destabilize the entire system to hold on to their jobs. So try and bring in this change, and it has worked. It is implemented in good number of colleges. And a lot of them would not like me telling this, but that's a harsh reality. The moment somebody starts getting a salary, you start moving into your early 40s. All that they do is try and destabilize the entire system just to hold on to their jobs. So get in this federal system. We will discuss about your different incentives. The incentives can probably be with a cash incentive, with a profit sharing incentive in the form of consultancy, a career development incentive, the college supporting you to have add-on degrees. Okay, again, the stock option doesn't come in basically with some of the colleges or universities, because in some colleges we do take them on board as an advisor or as a part of the think tank to multiple other roles that some of the faculty are basically encouraged with. We also give non-cash incentives that can be in a small little form of a two-wheeler, some fuel allowance. I'm sure some of the colleges are giving the fuel allowance part. So there are different ways you can think and see what works out best for your particular institution. The service rules probably you can look in at after 15 years. It's like you work in the Indian Army. If you're a field person for 15 years, they give you an option of shifting to the desk job. A lot of senior faculty might actually want to start moving in more into administration, would probably start looking in at being a part-time researcher associated. So start giving them this opportunity rather than holding them on, because you need to have a mixture of youth and experience. You do not say if you join here, we are going to hold you on for 60 just because you're going to exist here. It is perform or perish. So there are different employee benefits that can be given. A paid time off. I've always been advocating this. You have a set of leaves that are there. Give the leave encashment. Some people might actually work continuously. Tell them to mandatory go on leave. They don't realize this because they're physically maybe they're strong enough, but mentally they're getting weaker every day. So there needs to be this concept of a paid time off where you probably send them out to a movie, to a small excursion, or maybe send them out to some field job of having a camp done somewhere. Health insurance, professional development, because you cannot be the same 30 years from now. You always constantly have to keep sending them for faculty in development, faculty enrichment programs, loans for their kids to probably as like one of the things that is required in your hostel, your gym facility. Get them this membership. Have a retirement plan. That's a headache that most staff have once they start reaching their late 40s. So have a retirement plan. The simplest one would be an NPS. I'm sure most colleges have got their staff onto it, and they're also contributing for this NPS. Home services, that's a problem that again people have in their mid 40s. You have young kids, you have parents who are getting old, so sometimes the demands are exceeding enough. So allow this flexibility of work timings to work from home, wherein they can take their classes. They probably get half pay for that day. So different mechanisms that can be worked out where you give them sufficient flexibility to still contribute, if not for that 6 or 8 hours of fixed working hours. So the seventh part that we can look into is with the gender equality and multiple other things that comes with your institutional values, social responsibilities. So again, the institutional values with social responsibility play an important role here. I'm sure the gender equality is taken care. I see more women than men, so I don't know which way to talk about this in the present colleges. So I'm sure everybody is taken care by the management. You have a separate cell for that. Let's look in at again revenue generation, marketing, and creation of jobs. Solar, biogas, the wheeling, sensor-based lights. Sensor-based lights is something that I've been advocating a lot of colleges. Especially colleges. We have a couple of colleges here which run only in the evening. So sensor-based lights would be the best scenario. At least have the sensor-based lights in the parking lots. So you don't require this light on for a longer time. Now, if the college, I mean, Vinayaka machine being in Salem, a place that's quite hot most of the time, try and have your solar panels, your roof covering the solar panels. Advantage one, you have an additional roof. Your building, the terrace of your building doesn't get spoiled. Most colleges run between 9 to 5, so you basically don't consume so much of energy. So you wheel it to the grid. You're going to get money out for this. When you consult your auditor on this, he would help you get the best of the benefits because you can claim your depreciation, and then most of it basically turns out to be free for you probably by the end of fourth, fifth, or eighth year, depending on the calculations that you have. There are solar powered pumps, something of special interest to me again. This has been used for watering plants in multiple other places to your solid liquid waste management, in your incineration places. So it's all run by solar. So basically, the campus, by probably when you start looking in at the next cycle of NAC, has to be a carbon negative campus, wherein the amount of energy that you've consumed is going to be much lesser than the amount of energy that you've generated. Also, looking at biogas, if you have a very huge animal house that you can have, to a lot of plants that you can have, even your kitchen waste can generate a lot of revenue. Liquid waste management, the biomedical and e-waste management, something that I told in one of the colleges in North Karnataka, to establish one of your centers as collection for e-waste. And trust me, it has one become a marketing strategy. The whole of Belgaum today knows that go to Maratha Mandal and then you can drop in all your e-waste there. So this has become a big hit there, wherein Maratha Mandal got that marketing quite easily. I mean, they are a big college by themselves, but this small little effort make sure that all the e-waste is collected, it can get recycled and then reused. The selling part again goes to college. There are students who are working on with this project from the engineering background to multiple other sciences that are involved. Your rainwater harvesting, bore wells, tanks, ponds, recycling and maintenance again. If you have Department of Horticulture, students and gardening, students and other agriculture related specialities, this is again a platform for them to launch. You have a pediatric dentist here in Karnataka who is the secretary and the vice president for the Orchid Growers Association. So you have people who have multiple likes. You also have people who have probably done better than others in that particular field. So you can have your own committee formed and see how best you can beautify your place. Again, sell flowers, to sell things. You don't have to go to an outsider to form, I mean, to make a bouquet for every function or every time a guest comes in. You have your own garden and you have somebody who's really good in doing this. A green campus to pedestrian pending. I think we've all discussed this time and again, that with the numerous visits that I've made to the dental college, always have an external audit that helps you to make sure that the internal adjustments between some staff is always addressed to. Disabled friendly is something that you need to look into. Sensitize students and the faculty along with the management about rights and the responsibility. Everybody talks about rights, nobody talks about the responsibility. So many places where I've worked in the managing committee, I've always encouraged people to come and complain to me, be it their salary to some particular issues of tidiness to buses and multiple other things. And I've always expected them to come out with solutions because it's easy to complain. And when there is no solution, there's no point in complaining. This is what I've always told them from the management point of view. From the staff point of view, like what Baby John sir said, to stimulate your mind, you're always going to get solution. That's another way in which you can hold on to your job, get your work, get your incentive. And that also helps you on a personal note when you go back and deal problems back at home. So with this, I think the code of conduct book, all this would probably be in place. The next thing that I would look in is the best practices. I would want somebody from the engineering background, the law background, or the allied sciences to make a mark with the best practices. I no longer want universities to say that we are conducting so many camps. That is the best practice that we have. I would want to hear something from the legal services telling that we have 10 judges sitting in Tamil Nadu, pan India. We have so many number of Supreme Court judges sitting who are alumni of VMU. So our moot courts are strong enough, probably better than some other court. Our Ayurvedic sciences has probably X number of patencies which nobody else in India has, and we have so many products that have come out because of our research. So this is the kind of best practices that I am looking at, probably in the third or fourth cycle that VMU looks at. So largely, I would want to conclude by telling that your take-home message for the management point of view: create a think tank. A think tank is a combination of youth and experience, from a layman to somebody who's super specialized in that particular field. People spread across different parts of the state or the country. Just invite them for at least 2 or 3 meetings in a year. Give them problems that you've already had. Let them come out with solutions and help you perform better. Always, from the management's point of view, be open for hearing. Same thing applies from staff point of view. Always be open for hearing, because every time you hear, there's a different perspective. As a periodontist, empathy is one thing that we always learn. Look at things from somebody else's perspective or somebody else's shoes. The way you look at the same problem is always going to be different. Always have this at the end of the mind. It is an institution that survives long, and no individual probably can be there for that many years. I would like to share one of my experience here. In terms of honoring the staff, there was one Tamil Nadu dental college wherein a large examination hall, which also supposed to be a multi-purpose hall. The name of the hall happens to be in one typical Tamilian name. So as I went past, I said, "How do you pronounce this name?" They said, "So and so." I said, "How is he? Was he the founder, or how is he associated with the college?" They said, "No, this person was the first teacher in the dental college. He was the first subject teacher, that is from anatomy. So we have named this particular multi-purpose hall, which can take about 100-150 students, can write exam at one go. This hall has been named exclusively as a tribute to our first teacher, and he was nowhere associated with the management. So this was the best thing that a management could probably do to keep the staff motivated to stay in that particular college. From the management's point of view, always have a long-term vision. You will have short-term challenges. The goals have to be short-term. The hurdles have to be jumped. Only then you finish your 110 meters race. I think this is the only way is just don't keep betting. Doing things to better yourself. You have to be better than the best. It is a competitive world. The moment you start doing good, people around you start pushing their levels higher. So the competition gets tougher and stiffer. So you always have to keep it up. You have to be better than the best to survive this particular competition, because you have a lot of colleges that are springing up. A lot of guys want to start newer courses. So you have to be a pioneer. You have to be the first, because people remember only the first. Nobody knows who is the second. So with this, I basically tell you again 2 things. This is what the first one, wherein most staff sit and crib about. This is the management problem that they have. Each one knows their set of problem. If we can sit down and discuss both, I'm sure the university, the institution, and the world is always going to be a better place to deal with. I've always believed in this. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. So there are risks. You would either win or you learn. There is no chance of somebody losing out in particular scenario. So anybody has a particular question, probably because of the paucity of time, you can probably contact me on either of these things. This is again for both. You might be the best doctor. If you are not in the right place, doesn't make sense. The same applies with the staff. My sincere thanks to the management and staff of Vinayaka Mission University for giving me this opportunity to probably put across certain things that I've had or experienced, and helping probably see how much of things that can be implemented, or if my thoughts and visions are outdated, where I also probably need to upgrade myself. Thank you once again.
So we have one question from the participant.
Yes, sir.
How can we overcome the challenges for the quality research?
So what is the particular challenge that they are having, sir? Is it in terms of procurement of equipment or reagents to multiple things that is required? Or is it in terms of the planning, execution, or completing the research? Because it's a very broad question.
Yeah.
Or if I can
The
answer
research
this,
itself is a challenge. So,
is, or if I can just try to answer it in multiple verticals, I hope I am able to address some part of what was asked or what was expected. See, when it comes to the whole concept of research, I'm sure there is your ethical committee which gives the clearance, so it is all filtered up there. It's not that all ideas are going to be good points for research. And so that's the first level of filtration. The next one is how you do the study. So if you've had your research center that is giving you all the basic equipment, that is taken care. Now, how much time that you spend is probably depending on which specialty you come with, because I always feel that non-medico has more time, because after college hours they're relatively free. Most of the medicos are running for their practice, so they would want somebody to be employed, and they would probably monitor the study. The next thing is outcome of the study. That again depends on kind of study, duration of the study. The last part is about the publication. Like I said, yes, you need to get in a mechanism wherein it's easy to publish. A lot of universities have tied up with publishing houses now. Then comes with your patency part, which is again going to be a joint patency, largely in the name of college. So is that basically what the management, the person was asking me to address to?
Nandan, just a piece of information for you.
Yes, sir.
When you are telling about criteria 3 specifically,
Yes, sir.
see, we have come a long way down the line in the past 2 assessment cycles. Now the university has a robust research promotion policy, incentive policy. We provide incentives for publications. We provide incentives for patents. We provide incentives for projects. We provide incentives for consultancy. There is a sharing ratio for consultancy. We have 3 business incubators in the university, and there are around 12 startups in the past 3-4 years alone. And we have done technology transfer to the tune of around 7-8 products. And last 5 years, every year there has been a seed money grant for our faculty to the tune of nearly 2 to 3 crores every year. So that is the level of support the management is giving for research, and it has given us reports also by way of number of publications in index journals, more research projects coming in. So that also we have projected as one of a case study during the last assessment. So the support given for research and how it has the results what have come out of it.
It's very nice to hear a lot of positive things that are happening, and they're happening in the right direction, sir.
Correct.
I think the question on research is already answered by the platform is all there. Individual involvement, I think, would probably give them that success.
Correct.
So no more questions. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. It was really great. Your point of percolation of management to all the 7 criteria was really impressive. And also your picturistic representation of library was really attractive. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, sir.
Sir, we would like to honor you on behalf of Vinayak Mission Research Foundation deemed to be university and also Vinayak Mission Sankaracharya Dental College by presenting you a certificate of appreciation.
Thank you, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Link for the feedback is posted in the chat box so that on completion you receive these certificates. Lastly, I request Dr. Sadab Ahmad, IQC coordinator, to give the vote of thanks.
Sir, good afternoon to the one and all present here online with us, especially our resource person for the webinar, Dr. Nandan sir, Director IQAC sir, Dean sir, the IQAC coordinators from the constituent colleges of VMRF and all the other faculty participants. On behalf of IQAC Vinayaka Mission Sankaracharya Dental College, it is my honor and privilege to get the opportunity to thank you all the participants for your esteemed presence and contribution in this webinar to make it a success. So my first thanks goes to the resource person for the webinar, Dr. Nandan sir, to take out time from his busy schedule to grace the event. So thank you, sir, for inspiring us and lending fresh perspective on the role of management in quality assurance. Especially, sir, what you gave us as the take-home message that quality has to be sustained and it does not happen overnight. Then quality is a process-driven approach, and quality without results is pointless, sir. We will try our best to follow on your path, sir. Then your presence has indeed made this webinar memorable, and we, sir, unitedly thank you for that. My second thank goes to our director IQHA, sir, for the keynote lecture delivered and for all the timely help and steady cooperation that he has been extending to the IQAC VMSTC as and when we have required, with both resources and supplementary training and programs. So thank you once again, sir. My third thank goes to our Dean, sir, for delivering the welcome address and for the constant guidance, sustained enthusiasm, and motivation in quality assurance. I thank you for being with us here today, sir. My next thank goes to all the IQAC coordinators of the constituent colleges who stand parallel with us collectively to ensure all our goals and objectives together are met. My next thank goes to all the faculty and all the other participants who have joined us from the various other constituent colleges of VMRF. Any event, program, or webinar does not happen overnight. So my special and the last thanks will go to the IQAC section, VMSDC, and the IT section of our institute for the tireless support they have been constantly providing wherever and whenever required. With this, sir, we will conclude our webinar. And I hope all the participants will leave today after having learned something new. And we will follow on dedicated, we will follow on in the single pursuit of quality assurance. Thank you so much, sir and ma'ams.